Hello, my name is Anna. I'm 17 years old, and I think that I won't live more for 2 years. Let me tell you why I think so and how it all began. When my sister died, my mom was in complete despair. I was 10, and I saw such a sorrow for the first time. My mom was pulling her hair out, tearing her clothing, breaking the dishes. She was howling and rolling around. She was blaming herself for not saving her daughter Veronica. She tried to commit suicide several times. She didn't hear her father or relatives persuading her not to do so. It's obvious what was happening at that time. A 30-year-old woman became completely white. She was holding my sister's coffin and didn't let them take it out. My grandfather persuaded her to do that, promising to bury it in the garden of the country house. So it was done. My mother moved to said country house and spent all her days beside the grave, talking to her. Everyone was hoping that she would calm down over time, as it's said that time can heal any wound. One evening, I went out and saw that my mom had fallen asleep leaning on the grave. It was quite dark out. My grandparents had gone to the city that day. In the twilight, I saw someone sitting next to her, but I couldn't clearly see who it was. I came closer. What I saw didn't have any explanation. It was Veronica. I was staring at her, shocked, and noticed that she was wearing the same clothes as the day of her death. She was also wearing an unpleasant corolla on her head. She was looking through me as if she didn't even notice me. She was like an unreal hero from cartoons. She stood up slowly, put her finger to her mouth, and disappeared like light disappears when it's switched off. I screamed, and my mother woke up. She got angry with me because I had prevented her from dreaming about Veronica. The next moment, she started to retell me her dream. She saw Veronica coming up to her and trying to tell her something, but then I approached and spoiled everything. I didn't say that I saw the same reality in order to not make her cry again. She was considered to be almost crazy by neighbors. I was afraid for my mom. One day, I heard my grandparents talking to each other, and my grandfather said he saw Vera too. He went out in the morning and saw her following him. She reached out her corolla to him. Then, he assumed that his death was approaching. Then my mother entered the room, and they stopped talking. 3 months later, my grandfather truly did pass away. Grandma was trying to persuade my mother to move to the other city, but she didn't want to. Then came the autumn. I had to attend classes at school. My mother's sister, Aunt Elena, took me to live with her. Both my mom and grandma stayed in the same country house. One day, coming home, I saw my aunt crying. She said my grandma got paralyzed. I helped to take care of her, and she didn't speak. But one day, she opened her eyes, despite it being very difficult for her to do that. She could move only part of her lips, but I managed to understand what she was telling me. Veronica had given her the corolla and said that she would die the next day. Mom would die in a month, and Auntie a year later. As for me, according to her words, I'm gonna die in 9 years. All her predictions happened. The next day, my grandmother passed away. Her suffering came to an end. Aunt Elena died at her friend's wedding a year later. Dancing, she fell down and hurt her head. My mother froze to death on my sister's grave, and I'm waiting for my 19th birthday with horror. I heard there lives a psychic in the neighboring city, and she could possibly help me. That's my story. Such things can happen in life. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, to comment and like.